Morning students, this is Moon Verma, and today I'm just going to tell you about Python. It is the first lesson for the class 12. So I'm just going to quick recap of class 11, the course content and everything which we have done in class 11. So I'm just going to give you a quick recap. It is important because it is really important if you are just going with class 12. So you have to focus on it, you have to prepare and complete course of class 11. So I'm going to start with beginning. So please take a focus and please, if you have any question, then you can just come to it on the chat. So the first thing is Python. What is the Python? Python is a computer language. Before language, computer language, you have to understand what is the computer language. Computer language is what? Where your computer communicate with you, your computer communicate with the hardware devices, your computer will communicate with your peripheral devices. Sure. So when you are communicating with your computer, at that time you require a language. When your computer communicating with you, it's at that time your computer require a language. And when your computer is communicating the hardware things, with the peripheral things, or with the internal components, at that time computer require the language. So basis of those things, basis of those communications, we require the language and types of the language. So where we are talking about hardware to hardware communication, that is called low level communication, or we can say low level language. And when I'm just talking about the person to communicate with the hardware, or we can just say hardware communicate with the person, or we can say hardware communicate with the softwares. At that time you can just say it's called high level language. So there are two types of the languages, high level language and low level language. Python is again a high level language. Okay, so there are two modes present in Python: interactive mode and script mode. These are the two working modes when you are working with the Python. I think you work with Python. There are two modes present over there: script mode and interactive mode. So what is the script mode and what is the interactive mode? I'll just give you the simple example for that. Here it is called interactive mode, where you just simply a is equals to 2, b is equals to 3, c is equals to a plus c is equals to a plus b. So in this case, a is equals to 2, b is equals to 3, and c is equals to a plus b. At that time, c, when I was asking for the c, it will give you the 5. So that is called interactive mode. At the same thing, if I just want to do in script mode, then we have to use a file. How I'll open that file? You can just go for the interactive mode, click on the file and new file. That new file is again a mode provided by the Python thing. You can just provided by the Python softwares. That's called script mode. Here you can just do the same thing. A is equals to 2, b is equals to 3, and the c is equals to a plus b. You can perform the same task and click on the file. First you have to save that thing, provide the location 002. I'm just providing a normal term, or we can just create a location on the desktop. Python class one is so when you will run at that time, it will give you the answer. But what is that? Because why it's not written with the C? Why? Because I didn't tell I didn't mention over here command for the for output. So for output command is print C. Here you can just see the 5. So that's the basic difference between the interactive mode and the script mode. I'm going to the next. So it's again a computer language. GUI application बना सकते हो आप. You can just create the web application. You can create the games, DBMS, MS applications, and scripting. So there's a lots of the platform. There's a lots of the area you can cover by the help of the Python. Python is not a single language. You can just say Python is a collection of huge libraries and all things. So it is not only for the web application, it is not only for the console application, it is not only for the desktop application. You can just perform any task, because nowadays it is really a big width in artificial intelligence. Python is actually playing a really great role in the artificial intelligence. So GUI, web application, games, DBMS, and scripting, these are all things where you can use the Python. So Python is again most important thing. Now limitation for the Python. It is not so fast. Why? Because it is not compiled language, it is interpreted language. So in the case of interpreted language, the interpreter will check each line and provide the error. In the case of compiler, it will compile the whole program and make a exe file in the location, the preferred location. And when you will ask to run that thing, in the case of compiler run that exe file. But in the case of Python, because it is a interpreted language, so there is no any type of exe file present inside that thing. And each and every time when you run that program, the whole program will check by line per line. So it is not so fast. Library is very less. Actually, this line is not true at this point, as for me. A library was less, but nowadays huge amount of libraries present inside the thing. It is weak in the type binding. Okay, it's because binding is not a proper scenario over here. We'll just see how it will work or not. It is easy to convert to some other language. Yes, exactly. This is a main disadvantage. It is not easy to convert. If you think about Java, if you are thinking about C, C++, those languages are similar. Look, why? Because there's some basic rules and regulations present inside the thing. Why? Because you terminate each and every line. You have to terminate the statement. There is no any type of statement, because we don't have any symbol used that symbol to terminate the thing. So when you are converting the language, when you are converting your text into some other language from Python, so it's really too hard, because there's lots of things you required at that time. For example, for also in the case of C, you have to write like the for text start int I is equals to 0. You have to initialize the variable, then you will separate that thing. You will just provide the limitation less than 10, less than 4, and then again terminate and go for the I++. So that's a huge thing. In this case, you don't require that thing. So next is token. Token is what? Token is lexical unit, means to say individual program, the smallest individual program which have the power to perform some specific task. That's called tokens. So inside the tokens, there are some keywords, identifiers, literals, operators, punctuators present. So if I'm just talking about what is a literal, so you can just say literal is the type of the token. When I'm just talking about the punctuator is also type of the token. Clear? So and the keyword is also type of the token. So token is a bunch where keyword, identifier, literals, operator, punctuators are present. So what is the keyword? So keyword is a predefined words, and each and every language actually have the keywords. And I just want to tell you one important thing. Keyword is just like the if you know each and every keyword and how to use that keyword, so that means that language is complete for you. Okay, so there's some keywords present over here: false, none, true, and, as, clear, break, else, elif, def, del, if, or, is not. So there's lots of the keywords present in that. Identifier you will just define as a name. If you are defining a name for the variable name, so you will just say it is an identifier. So identifier is what, which is actually going to identify something. So inside the Python, everything is identifier. Inside the Python only. Clear? Literals and values. Literals are those things which have consist with the value, which have the value. That is called literals. So in the case of literals, there are string literals, numeric literals, boolean literals, special literals. You can just none. So string literals where you can store the string, numeric literals where you can store the numbers, whatever it's a we can just say floating numbers or any other number. Boolean literals are true and false where you can just take the decisions on the basis of some condition. And special literals are, you can just say, where you can fill the none value. It's again play a big role. Now take a look for that. Literal collections. So string literal we have done where you can store the text and all. Numeric literals, decimal value, octal, hexadecimal, float, complex. Clear? So in the case of decimal value, where you can just insert the decimal value, octal in literals are integer literals, where you can just insert the octal value, hexadecimal value you can insert, if that is called hexadecimal literals. Now floating again, where you can use the decimal value. So for example 2.0, where decimal is present, where point is present, that is called floating value. So you can use this floating value. Exponent form of 1.2, where you can use the use number of 0, or you can just say use number of present over there, and you just want to show in a short manner. That's called exponent form. At that time you can use the exponent form. Now complex. Clear? Complex number present over here because we define by the iota, 3 plus 5 iota. So it is called a complex number. How it will work, I will just discuss about that. Boolean literals, A is goes to true, B is goes to false. So these all are the Boolean literals based on what? Based on the condition. Which condition you have preferred or which condition you are going to apply. Then after operators are those special symbols which is responsible to perform any task, any operation. Clear? Arithmetic operators and Boolean operators. There's a lots of operators present inside that thing. Punctuators are also an operator. So in the case of operators, there's something is punctuator. So special symbols. Each and every symbol which you see in the Python, it's called a punctuator. Then go for the data type. It is called data type. There are some type of data types based on the data. Okay. So numeric for the number data type, string, text or string data type, list, tuple and dictionary. So there are the 5 main data type present inside the Python. Number, where you can store the number. A string, where you can store the string or you can just text. List is just like the array, where you can use a single variable to store multiple numbers. Tuples, again the same thing, where you can store inside a single variable multiple values. Difference between these two things is it is mutable, or we can just say editable, or it is tuple is immutable. Dictionary is just different from tuples and list. Dictionary actually work with 2 values. Clear? First is index value, second is value. Means to say, in this case, like A is A position, value is first, E position, value is second, I position third, O 4, U 5. So A, I, U are keys, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 their values. So A is what? A is a reference index over here, and 1 is the value for that. Now core data types, again there are the core data types that will important. In the case of core data type, there is a numeric, none, sequence and mapping. In the case of numeric, integer, floating and complex and Boolean numbers are present inside the number. None is again null value, which hold the null value. Sequence, for the sequence is string, tuples and list. These three you can just say data type work like similar, and mapping is called dictionary. So if I'm just talking about what is the mapping data type, then you can just say dictionary is a part of mapping data. Why it is a part of mapping data type? Because first value is work as a index value in that area. You know about the simple dictionary, or we can just say a first page of your app, your file is called index file, index number, index page. At that time you can just identify each and every topic by the help of a single number. For on the page number first, this is a topic; on the page number second, this is a topic; on the page number third. So that is called mapping. So you can just map that particular thing in the case of dictionary. Variable and values. How a variable work in the Python. Actually, we have discussed about the thing, but I'll just, because it's a review of concern, so I'm just going to explain everything. In the C, C++, Java and all, a variable is a thing, we can just say a memory address or memory location which is able to, or we can just say capable to hold some value. But in the case of Python, variable definition is totally different. Clear? So variable is a reference location which actually indicate a location where value is placed. That means here there are two things. First is this location and second is A. So A is my variable which actually notifying, or we can just say redirecting me for that value. If I'm just, suppose if I'm use paint, if I'm saying A is equals to, A is equals to 5. A is equals to 5 and B is equals to 5 and C is equals to 10. Then what will happen at this time? So at this time there are inside the RAM there are three things present over here. It's called A, it's called B, and that is C. So it's called C. So it is good, I'll provide the name also. It's A, B and C. So there are three variables over there, because A is equal to 5, B is equal to 5. So 5 is again our value over here for that. Yes, it is called 5. So this 5 value actually redirected by A and B. And one more thing, if I'm just talking about C is equals to 10, so 10 is a separate value which actually concerned by the C. Now one more thing, let's suppose if our next variable D is equals to 10, then what will happen? At that time D will focus on this 10. It will not create another value which holds the 10. So at this time it works like the pointer. It will look like the, a target identifiers which actually focus on that particular value, so they can multiple variable can share the single value in the case of Python. But in the case of C++, if I'm saying A is equal to 5, B is equal to 5, and C is equal to 10, D is equal to 10, in the case of C++, what will happen? I'll tell you. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Suppose I'm saying it is called A, B, C, that is 5, B is 5, C is 10, C is 10. So each and every variable will create a separate memory location. Here they can share the memory location, but the condition is they actually using the same value. So this is variable and values over here. We have done about the thing. If B is goes to 10 and A is goes to 10, they will share the same value. Mutable and immutable type. So there are two types of the variables present over here also. First is the mutable and second is the immutable. So in the case of mutable, it is changeable. List, dictionary, set. List, dictionaries and set are the mutable. You can just change among that. And immutable, non-changeable, integer, floating, boolean, string and tuples are non-changeable or immutable. So in the case of operator, okay, in the case of operator, what is the operator? Operators are the specific symbols which actually behave for a specific operation. If I'm just saying about to add two values, so adding is an operation, but adding can perform by a simple this symbol that is called adding symbol. You can just say plus. So if you just want to just subtract something, you can use the minus symbol, or you can just say subtract symbol minus. So there are some type of operation present over there, operator present over there: arithmetic operator, relation operator, identifying operator, logical operator, bitwise operator, and membership operator. So how they will differ from each other, I'll tell you. In the case of operator associative, that is thing, Python is a XPS statement consists from multiple or more than one operators than operator. Okay, in this line, that only wants to say you can use multiple operators at the same time. Clear? You can use multiple operators at the same time. It will automatically adjust with, I think, board mass. Okay. Okay. So take a look for that. What is the difference between single multiply and double multiply? I told you, I think. Single multiply is simple multiplication and double multiply is just the power. Okay. Typecasting. Typecasting is to convert the type of variable in another type of variable. For example, if I'm just saying A is equals to 4, so it can be a integer or it can be a text. I'm just saying. But if I'm just talking about B, this goes to int A. So I'm just converting that A into the integer, and we are going to transfer inside the B. So that means B will hold a value A, but that value should be in integer type. So B will have the integer value of A. So if you just want to convert from one value to another value, you can just use the type over here. Typecasting. Clear? Now take a look for that. Now radius, int, input, height, int, input. So you are actually defining which type of the input you required at this time. So radius and height, these are the two variables over here, which is fulfilled by the automated inserting method. Here you are using int because you are defining you required an integer value. If you will not mention int over here or float mentioned over here, by default it will give you the string value. Type of the statement in the Python. So empty statement, we can just say pass, which have the null value. simple statement where you can just use the any simple string or numbers in that area. And compound statement is just where you are using a for loop or if condition. So at that time you use a condition and then header part and the statement part. So at that time we can just say compound statement. So empty statement where you are not inserting anything. Simple statement where you are inserting single value, whatever it is called, numeric value, or where you are inserting a string value. But if you are doing something which is different from that particular area, or we can just say if you are working upon a statement under a controlled environment, for example loop environment, for example conditional formatting, conditional environment, at that time you can use the compound statement. So statement flow control, sequential. So start, input, you can use the statement and output, and stop. Selective, where you actually perform your task as per your condition. For example, start, input AB is A greater than B, then yes this one and no this one. And that's called selective, because you have to select something. Whatever this will work or that will work. It is not possible they will work together. Now interactive means to say they perform n number of times, that much you want. That means start, input n, I is equals to 1, f is equals to 1, and then what is going to happen? It will be close. Is I less than equals to less than equals to n? Then if yes, then f is equals to f multiply 1, or I is equals to I plus 1, print f. So that is called interactive. Where? Why? Because at that time that will work like this. It will not end over here. It will end over here only. Clear? And it will work n number of times. Now Python if statement, again take a look. If statement is the compound statement where you work upon that if statement, where you provide the condition over there. Now take a look. If a is equals to 10, if a is equal to 10, then print a is equals to 10. So simply what happened? If a, the value of a is equals to 10, at that time that will print. If it is not equals to 10, then what will happen? It will not print anything. If you just want to print something, if condition is wrong or condition is false, then you have to use the else area also. So if condition is true, that first condition statement will work. Or if else condition, that means if area is not true, will not true, then else condition will work. For example, if a is equal 10 and a is equals 10, print a is equals to 10, else print a is not equals to 10. So simply, if you are right, then you will work with the if condition. If you are true, you will work with the if condition. If you are not true, if you are not right, at the time you will work on the else condition. Nested if else, that means to say, what is the meaning of nested over here? Nested means to say if inside the if, for inside the for. So something inside that thing is called nested. So if a greater than b, if a greater than c. So here first the value will check by interpreter. A is greater than b. Yes, a is greater than b. If a is not greater than b, then it will directly move for the else. Then b greater than to c. If a greater than b is not true, then it will check b is greater than c. If a greater than b is okay, if it is true, then it will check a greater than to c. If a greater than c, then print a is greater. Otherwise, else c is greater. Clear? Then else part, b is greater, and the same thing will work for that. So these are things is called nested condition. We have done about the thing. Loop is what? Where you actually using a controlled environment to repeating a particular task is called loop. Controlled environment to repeating a task. Clear? At that time you require the loop. There are two types of loop in Python: for loop and while loop. Do while loop is not present in the Python. Range function, you know very well about the range function, where you can perform it's also part of the loop. You can just say, because for I in range, have you remember for that? So range is the function where you can just work with two segments, lower limit or upper limit. So if I'm just saying range for I in range 0 to 5, that means it will work to 0 till 4. 0 till 4. Why? Because fifth is the element. It will work for the fifth. It will not work for the fifth. It will work for 5 times. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 5 value. Start from the 0 and that end with n minus 1. Suppose it is the n, and it will work till n minus 1. So that is called range function. And if third comma will present also over there, then suppose 0, 5, 1 or 2. So it will print, it will work, start from 0, move till 5, 5 minus 1, but the interval is 2. The interval is 2. For example, range 0 to 10, 2 will have the 0, 2, 4, 8, 6, 8. Why? Because 0 is the starting point, that will work. And where is the 1? Because I'm saying use as interval for 2. So it will work after 0. It will not show the 1. It will not work with 1. It will show you the 2. And that will work 5 to 1, 5 to 0. Again, it will work till minus 0 minus 1. So it will work till 1. And minus 1 will represent you the decrement formation for that. Now, after that jump statement, a break statement is behaving like the jump statement over here. If you just want to close, if you just want to break the program for any reason, then you can use the break statement, and it is important and it is really good. You can just work with these two examples. I'm just leaving over here. For example, int I is equals to input any number, so you have to insert a number into the n. C is equals to 1 while C less than 11. While C less than 11, if C is equal to 5, then break. It will work till C less than 11. If C is greater than 11, that will not work. And I'm saying if C is equal to 5, then break, then close the program. And what will be the output? And the print is n. Okay. X C is equal to C into n. C is equal to C plus 1. So take a look. 4 X C n. Clear? So it's called 4 4 4. 1 2 3 4. It will not work with the 5 because the if C will 5. If C is 1, it will show you over here. If C is 5, that will break. That will break means to say it will close. It will move out from this particular if condition. And the same thing is where you are using the break option over here. You can just go through with the all two options or all two example over there.